Who was Vonda McIntyre?
Vonda McIntyre was an important 1970s feminist science fiction writer, and she published her first novel in 1975. That was The Exile Waiting, which is this. This is my edition from, I bought it in 1980, I think. And it was shortly followed by her second novel, Dreamsnake, which exploded. Everybody loved it so much. And it won the Hugo, it won the Nebula. It was the big thing that made her. But Exile Waiting was the novel that established the world that Dreamsnake and some short stories populated. So Vonda made her name as a science fiction writer, and she went on to become more famous in novelising Star Wars and Star Trek books. That's how she's famous. And then she continued writing. She set up a, not a self-publishing company, but a collective publishing company called the Bookview Cafe, which is still working, because a large group of writers wanted to produce their own ebooks of their own works and keep the profits, which is a very reasonable thing to do. So she and Ursula Le Guin, who was a close friend, they spearheaded this, and Vonda served as a webmaster and an editor for many of the books.
So why did you want to publish this title?
Because I love it. Because I love it, I love it, I love it. It was very important to me when I was a teenager, reading science fiction for the first time. It got me off collecting the X-Men and collecting the Avengers comics. I moved into real books. And Vonda and Ursula Le Guin, between them, were the two writers I read most of. And Anne McCaffrey as well. So this was late 1970s, early 1980s. So I've kept that book in the back of my head, because I remember all the books I've ever read. And when I was considering what Handheld might do towards the end of last year, in 2018, I suddenly thought, well, good Lord, The Exile Waiting, is it in print? And I investigated, and it wasn't in print. It was an ebook, but it was completely out of print. So I managed to get in touch with Vonda, and we discussed it. She was very pleased at the idea. Her agent and I had a long email exchange, and we signed the contracts in February this year. And then a few weeks after that, Vonda emailed me to say that she had inoperable pancreatic cancer, and there wasn't really much anyone could do. She hoped to have a year. So by then I'd got the designer of the cover commissioned, and I had the introduction assigned to Una McCormack, who's another well-known science fiction writer. So the three of us worked together. We brought the book back about 6 months to be able to publish it this year, hoping that Vonda would see it. She did see the cover art, and she approved it, and she died 3 weeks later.
So what's it about?
The plot. The Exile Waiting and Dreamsnake are both set on Earth, but it's post-Holocaust Earth. It's after a nuclear war. Much of the land is still radioactive, but there are pockets of population, and society has evolved and changed to adapt to the new way of living. There's a very large city called Center, which is domed and secure from radioactive outside, and this is where The Exile Waiting is set. Dreamsnake, the second novel, is set outside, and it's much more inventive in how different societies work. The Exile Waiting is about a sneak thief, a teenage girl called Misha, who is telepathic, and she earns her living, such as it is, by stealing, because she has to support her brother Chris, who is a drug addict, and their uncle, who has brought them all up because he controls their extremely strong telepathic but mentally handicapped sister Jenny. So whenever the uncle wants money, Misha and Chris are forced by telepathic control to get money to bring to him, otherwise the little girl gets it. So that is the central plot, but as well as that, there is a subplot of two aliens who are symbiotically conjoined to arrive at Center to take over, because they know it's a source of income. They're not particularly malevolent, but this is just the way they operate their lives. So they have arrived, and then there's a storm and they can't leave, and their ship is wrecked, and there's a navigator they have to try and deal with. And the plot evolves to explore this society with it's just so interesting how Vonda created the society and made it work, but also to expose the really nasty secrets underneath it. And it's got a lot about disability, a lot about gender roles, a lot about human rights. It's extremely important for writing about disability at this period. In science fiction, this was not happening very much. Anne McCaffrey did it in the 1960s, with The Ship Who Sang, this novel takes disability within the science fiction paradigm to a new level. So that's another reason why I wanted to bring it out.
So what makes the book so special?
It's the storytelling. It's the inventiveness of the imaginative world. It's how the story is told. The characters are all very relatable, very interesting. Some of them are extremely attractive. You just want to follow these people and find out about their lives. And it's the way she weaves the story and combines 2 or 3 subplots into a coherent, urgent narrative that you really want to find out what happens.
Who will it appeal to?
Anyone who likes science fiction, so any science fiction reader. Fans of Vonda N McIntyre who only know her from Dreamsnake or from the Star Wars and Star Trek novels. And people wanting to read about how disability and gender began to be written about in fiction in the 70s, when these subjects were really quite new for mainstream fiction.
Why did you want to publish the book?
Because I think it's wonderful. I think lots of people ought to read it. I think it will sell. I think it's important to bring back women's writing, obviously, because in science fiction in particular, women's writing has been horribly neglected, especially women writing before the 1980s. So it's a forgotten classic, I think. It stands the test of time, and I think it will do really well.